Hello, everybody. This is the AstroLove podcast, and I am AstroQueen.
And I'm AngelLove.
And we're back again with another podcast.
Yes, we are.
During the Aries season. Mm-hmm. And I hope everybody is well and not suffering too much from the intensity of the Aries season. Not that Aries season is necessarily intense in a bad way, but you know, whatever. Anyways, we'll get into that. Firstly, though, I would like to start this podcast off with a quote, as per usual, just for inspiration and just to kind of link what we're going to talk about today, which is essentially Aries and Mars and everything in between. So my quote is today. Where is my quote? It's by Leo Tezu, and I'll tell you why I've chosen this one. But basically, it says, "What the caterpillar calls the end, the rest of the world calls a butterfly."
Okay.
And I thought that was really nice because Mars is in Pisces.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really poetic way of starting the podcast. We're talking about Mars, and Mars is associated with initiation and new beginnings, but also the beauty of Mars, because at present as well, he's in Pisces, and Pisces rules like transcendence, spirituality, and accessing a beauty within ourselves in a very kind of spiritual way. So I thought that was cool. But anyways, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm just trying to find my way through everything. You know, I'm really starting to feel the pre-shade of the Mercury retrograde right now. I'm not even going to lie to you. So where's Garbage? Here we go. So no, I'm good. I'm looking forward to this topic today. So should I just delve right into it?
Go straight. Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Okay, so this is episode 21. And basically the sun went into Aries when on the 19th?
Yes.
On the 19th of March. And that also kind of initiated the spring equinox, isn't it? So we're officially in spring in the UK. So spring in the UK, just quickly about the weather, it's been still up and down. And I think that's because we've still got some planets in Pisces. It's been confusing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
UK weather's never
stable,
exactly. You can never know what's going to happen from year to year, so let's just hope for a good summer. And actually you can gauge a little bit what the weather can be like. You can make like predictions using astrology, just by looking at certain planets like Uranus, for example, but that's for another day. Meanwhile though, let's talk about Mars. So the sun went into Aries in March 19th, and that symbolizes an ending of the Pisces season and the beginning of new life, essentially. Although Pisces is about endings and new beginnings. And you can kind of see it out there in the world, particularly when I was observing it in London, in nature. I could see, obviously, plants dead plants, or like fallen leaves, but also the beginning of new life. And that's very Pisces, the ending of new beginnings. And that's what makes Pisces very fertile as well, able to birth new things. But with Mars, it's straight up new beginnings, straight up new energy, pursuing your goals, really handling your business, and putting some drive and motivation and ambition behind everything that you see that pertains to your vision. Aries, I think on a personal level, is a very funny one for me because I have both malefics in Aries. I've got Saturn and Mars in Aries. Which is quite interesting because it gives me a lot of drive, a lot of push, a lot of discipline. But at the same time, like sometimes it takes a moment to get the wheels going. It's almost like driving with the brakes on. But once I get going, that's it. You can't stop me. It's over. But obviously people have Mars Mars in different aspects of their chart, you know, and in different signs, different houses, and it can affect us in completely different ways. So we'll talk about some of the ways in which it can affect us here today. But let's just kind of talk about some keywords to do Aries and Mars. So Mars influences physical energy. He's the reason why we wake up in the morning. If we've got a weak Mars, we might find it quite difficult to get on with things throughout our day. We might need a bit of a boost. Coffee might help us, you know, like other stimulants to really get us up and running. But some of us are really active and very able to just get up and have that drive. But yeah, essentially Mars helps us to get up in the morning, gives us that our energy, our vitality. And also he's connected to sexual desires. Sexual desires, assertiveness.
Our passions.
Passion, yeah. We're able to identify our passions by knowing where our Mars is in our natal chart. And also he's connected to courage and leadership. But also his energy can manifest in a way that's not too healthy, but can help, depending on how you view things. Conflict being one of them. And impulsiveness being another. But yes, so essentially Mars is associated with action and the pursuit of us achieving our goals. Without Mars, we're not able to pursue our desires and our passions, and you know, kind of like being able to meet our potential. We need Mars. We need that boost. Okay, so Mars is great in that respect. But he also rules 2 signs. He rules Aries, a fire sign. And interestingly, he rules Scorpio, and a water sign. So Aries, very fiery, very passionate, very dynamic. Scorpio, emotional, sensitive, instinctual. Although they're both instinctual, to be honest. In Aries, Mars encourages independence and assertiveness. So people who have Mars in Aries may feel very driven in themselves. It is very much about autonomy and then being able to kind of like assert themselves into the world, and taking decisions that are based on the actions they want to achieve. But at Scorpio, it's influenced by transformation and stripping and letting go. And so people who have this influence in their chart might feel compelled to end things with relationships or situations or circumstances that no longer serve their growth, because essentially that's what they do. They want to grow. Again, that's that butterfly effect. In order to keep achieving that butterfly effect, they have to kind of go through this intense cycle of letting go and starting new, and letting go and starting new. So sometimes it means confrontational situations, sometimes it means just quitting or cutting ties. That's a very Scorpionic nature. So yeah, I think that's it in a nutshell, you know. But essentially Mars wants freedom to do what it needs to do, freedom to be sexual, freedom to win, freedom to succeed, freedom to rise up, whatever the case may be. It needs to have that you know, ability. And so sometimes separation is very necessary in order to get there. What are your thoughts on what I just said? Was that long-winded?
No, I think, you know, Mars is definitely the fire starter. You know, that's that Aries kind of Mars energy. They're the fire starter of the zodiac. They're ready. They got all that energy, but then, you know, they might burn out after a while.
That's key.
So, you know, you may find people with, you know, strong Mars, or, you know, with their Aries, and they got that strong will, and then after a while maybe they stop, so they never actually quite finish because they're so strong. They're like bursting for energy, and then it kind of stops. And then Mars is in Pisces right now, right? So then if it's in Pisces is a water sign. So it's like, yep, they're starting, you know, when you start an engine and it starts choking, like it doesn't start. It doesn't actually start. And then people say, don't keep doing that because it's going to flood the engine. I get that kind of visualization of the Mars in Pisces type feel, like, yeah, you're trying to start, but actually, you know, it's getting flooded. And there's some sort of, not saying you can't take action in Pisces, but it's going to be in a slightly different way. The fire ain't going to be on fire like it's like you're used to, that type of thing. So yeah, that's how I see that kind of Mars in Pisces metaphor for it.
I love that, you know, and I really, because I've not heard that. And I really visualize that. Yeah, because like now that Mars is in Pisces, he has to succumb to the Pisces nature.
Exactly.
So Pisces is about like transcendence and, you know, connected to spirituality and compassion, empathy. So all of those desires that we have within ourselves have to encompass empathy, spirituality, healing, being together, connectedness. And that's not really Mars's nature. So yeah, he will feel like he's drowning, but he's got no choice but to like, you know, push those attributes onto humanity or consciousness or whatever the case maybe. So yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's like you have to learn to work in a different way.
Yeah.
When it's in Pisces, you know, the energy just like water on fire. Water just takes away the fire, doesn't it? So it's like how are you gonna navigate this time when Mars is in Pisces? And it's about ensuring that Pisces get to say in how things are, how you take action.
I like that a lot. I'm just trying to check now how long he's going to be in Pisces for, because he's only at 1 degree, so he's only been there for a couple of days at most. He's going to be there until the 1st of May. So until the 1st of May, we will be driven much more. We will be directing our motivation and desires and actions. They'll be orientated around spirituality and healing and compassion, which is nice. I think we need that, especially considering what's going on in the world with obviously the tension with Russia and the US, and now France are in. 2,000 troops. I don't know if you've heard. 2,000 troops went into the borders of Ukraine, I think.
Really?
Yeah, to help. So I'm hoping that Mars will kind of help douse some of the tension and the aggression there.
Yeah, the fire that's there, maybe, hopefully.
Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, anyway, so what else did I want to say? Mars can symbolize Mars can also symbolize emotional detachment. I said disconnect or separation earlier, but basically this will prompt people to like kind of distance themselves from intense emotional entanglements, because Mars doesn't really do emotion naturally. And so cutting ties and situations that evoke strong emotions is very, very easy for them. I've got Mars in Sagittarius. So for me, I need lots of space. So I won't necessarily cut ties with you, but I will definitely, if you've hurt my feelings, or if I feel like I need to go on the defensive, we could talk about it later.
Okay.
But I'm going to distance myself. I need the space, and then that'll give me a chance to kind of calm down. I can be reactive though. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I can be reactive because also my Mars is conjunct Saturn. So I might be quick. But that's the impulsiveness of Mars. He can be so impulsive that it doesn't allow you to really think about your actions and the impact you're having on the situation or the person that you're being impulsive towards.
Definitely,
especially if it's a negative thing. But it doesn't have to be. It can be impulsively, I'm deciding to do this today now. I've been putting it off. Whatever situation I know is going to be good for me, I've been putting it off. Do you know what? Now I feel the urge to do it, and I'm going to go ahead and do it and do it. And so that essence there is confidence and taking the risk, you know, and that's very Martian. But also essentially there's the other side where you're attacking in a way that's defensive. You don't have all of the information, you're just going with your gut instinct, and that could also work in your detriment or against you.
Definitely. I think with my Mars, it's in
Libra.
You
got interesting Mars.
Debilitated. So I say, you know, I'm not very confrontational with that. And also, I have drive. I do. But then, you know, to get started, maybe it take a bit of effort.
And that's because your Mars isn't aspected? Is it peregrine?
It is peregrine. I've got Mars and Pluto like 10 degrees away from each other. But I guess with the Mars, when it's that, you kind of maybe have to ride off someone else's energy to get things started. That's a way around it. Or just, you have to set goals for yourself. You have to put things in place to make sure that you can get up and start to do things, because you know you're gonna have to write down, okay, today maybe it's just one goal, and then work your way up to 2, 3, 4, like that, because otherwise you're gonna be there with loads of ideas, getting frustrated, nothing's finished, nothing's materialized, and it can be that kind of way, can be quite frustrating. So that's how I kind of control my Mars. Or I do things like in a classroom setting, you know, just learning I can learn on my own. But then if I really want to do something and have it done in a certain amount of time, maybe I'll just like join a course, because then it's going to be very structured. You know, I have to provide things at a certain time. So just knowing how you are as a person, how your Mars works, will enable you to know the type of things that you got to do to get active and complete what you need to do and start things. And so everyone's way of working is different. You just got to know how to navigate yourself.
Thank you for saying that, because I pictured your Mars, it's in Libra, so obviously it's like you said, it's debilitated, so it struggles with strength and it struggles with determination and action. But it's Mars has to, he has to go and act in accordance to the Libra nature. And Libra is very diplomatic and very social and very peaceful, you know. So the crazy dynamic Mars isn't always crazy, but if you listen to the myths of Mars, he's definitely crazy enough to take risks.
Definitely.
Make decisions that maybe the average person wouldn't. But in Libra, he's definitely calmer, much more peaceful. Maybe that's where the lack of confrontation comes in.
Yeah, I mean, but also, you know, who had Hitler had a Mars in Libra.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Do you know which house?
I don't know. I didn't know, but I know he's got Mars in Libra.
But we probably don't know the time anyway.
Yeah. Mars in Libra. Kate and William.
They both
have it. So, you know, but then when you think about it, Hitler needed his army to get things done. You know, they've got a whole country to, you know, with them. Yeah. You know, Kate and William, that's what they're going to inherit. Yeah. You know, he'll be king and she'll be queen. Yeah. Kind of thing. So then they'll have the people. Yeah. So they've got people.
They've got groups.
They've got people, and they've got people behind them that work with them to usher things through. So it's going to, you know, work in their favour. And just like Hitler, he had lieutenants and different people that had the same sort of vision as his that made things happen. You know, so
exactly.
And obviously they're, you know, I mean, they have Mars in Libra, but they're, you know, everyone's Mars in Libra is going to be different.
Sorry. I had to stop you because it stopped recording for some reason.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, anyway. Mercury retrograde it is upon us, guys. We're in a pre-shade, but we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, go on.
So I was able to look at Hitler's chart, and actually he doesn't have Mars in Libra.
He doesn't?
No. He has in Taurus conjunct Venus retrograde.
That makes more sense, actually.
So he's got that. So he doesn't have it. But Kate and William have the Mars in Libra.
And they're always appearing as a couple, generally, aren't they?
Well, their chart actually matches up really well. They have a lot of planets in the same signs. Yeah. So maybe that's something we can do at a later date of the podcast. Just, you know, look at the relating, the synastry of the birth chart.
We need to, because we spoke about it earlier and I was excited. So it definitely would be a good topic.
Yes, for sure.
Okie dokie. So we spoke about Mars and its association with energy and vitality, but he's also connected to physical activity and athleticism. Yeah. So I think athletes with very strong Mars, obviously you have to have a very strong Mars in order to have a good level of impact.
Definitely. I think boxers as well. Should have looked at some boxers where they have their Mars.
Yeah, like Mike Tyson, for example, or Floyd.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury.
Yeah. I think they'll have strong Mars, but also like planets in Libra as well. Just because of that, like the oppositional component. Like that relationship in the boxing ring. I think that'd be interesting to see. But yeah, so what else did I want to say? So Mars symbolizes motivation, determination, willpower, but also in the context of healing, he does play a role. Yep. It's not conventional. It's not he's not a traditional healer. I think Neptune is a healing planet. Jupiter can heal. Mercury can heal. The Sun is also a healer, but Mars is not traditionally known as a healer. However, he has got some influence over it, interestingly enough. So, for example, if you look at it this way, from a mundane perspective, individuals with strong Mars can benefit from like physical therapy. So if you've got a good oh, you okay? Have some water, girl. Yeah, if you've got a prominent Mars, physiotherapy or exercise routines could be a very good recovery process if you get injured physically. And then also Mars represents mental resilience and the ability to overcome challenges as well. So I suppose that could be looked at as kind of healing too. So during the recovery process, a strong Mars influence can contribute to positive mindsets, determination, and the ability to stay focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah, throughout the healing process. And that's really when I'm injured or in not too great of a physical point in my life, I don't allow myself to sit in that. I don't allow myself to like delve into my sorrows of that. And I do use motivation and drive to recover. So I'm just like, okay, what's going to fix me right now? Do I need to take echinacea? Okay, I want to take that daily, twice a day, as many times. Like I do things, or like, and it makes me question my dad as well, because I don't know his chart very well. We don't know his date of birth. We don't know his time of birth. Based on cultural values back in the day in West Africa, we don't have those details. But when my dad was, he had like an inflamed shoulder, and he was told that it could get worse and obviously debilitate him in some way, unless he does physio. So my dad went to do physio, but he was also doing physio at home relentlessly. And I remember seeing like long planks of wood that he was using to help, like, I don't know, help him turn his shoulders. And I can't, it's hard to kind of explain, but I remember feeling really impressed by his consistency and his drive and motivation to heal that area of his body. Obviously he needs his arms. Without his arms, there's certain things he can't do, and he's missing a part of his body that can help him function well on a day-to-day. So for him, he's like, I'm determined. He had the determination to do something about it. And it was really inspiring. And I don't think everyone has that. It could be that somebody thinks that just going to physio is enough. Having a physiotherapy telling you what to do once a week, that's enough to heal your shoulder. Okay, fair enough. But also that physiotherapy is going to advise you to do that at home. Are you going to have the drive and motivation? Now, my mum, on the other note, she had issues with what was it? Needing to lose weight. But my mom's quite elderly, so she was told to climb up the stairs and do certain exercises from her seat and blah blah blah. My mum knows she needs to lose weight. She's she's got health issues. Losing weight will help alleviate those health issues. Did she do them?
No.
Do you know how many times I've had conversations with her, or my mom, or my dad, my sister rather, had conversations with her, tried to motivate her and push her to do the exercises. Is she doing them? No. So, but my mom's found other techniques that suit her and whatever, but she's not doing what the physiotherapist has advised her.
She needs a physiotherapist to come in on the day, on a daily.
She
come
needs
in the house.
Yeah.
Sit down with her, do it with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what it sounds like your mum needs.
Seriously, and also that just for me, again, I don't know her time of birth. I don't know, but I've got her date of birth. I can actually check. But in terms of comparing it with my father's Mars, they're two different Marses for sure. My mum's Mars is probably debilitated, and my dad's probably exalted. No, that's probably not the case at all, but it could be a completely different. Energy.
That's why they're connected.
That's why they connect. So true.
Your dad's Mars can kind of work on her Mars. So yeah, your dad needs to get in there and say, "Yep, we're doing this today. Get up."
And my mum listens to my dad.
Yeah, I think your dad needs to take a bit of control there.
And he does. Yeah. But also my mum's stubborn, so if she makes up her mind about something, it's over. But yeah, my dad is that driving force for my mum for sure.
But so, yeah, very interesting. So another thing I wanted to kind of discuss real quick is just the sexual dynamics of Mars. So Mars does have an association and an influence with our sexual life, our libidos, and without that, there will be no life.
Yeah.
There will be no babies. There will be no procreation. We need Mars. We need him to insert his energy in order to create life. And so that obviously pertains to sex, and that's, you know, how he manifests his energy. So sex and sexual drive helps create not only babies and life, but also helps create projects and new beginnings, whatever that might look like, whether we buy a new house or we move out, go to a new country and immigrate, and or set up a business or start a new course. All of that has been pushed along by Mars. But in terms of sexual drive, Mars may indicate tendencies towards heightened sexual desires, impulsiveness around sex, and assertiveness in sexual matters. So wherever he is in your chart can show us what kind of tendencies you have when it comes to your sex life, your sex drive, and your pleasures and intimacy. And I think it'd be nice to kind of hone into some of the aspects that when Mars is kind of strong or in hard aspects, what that might look like. Because in positive and strong aspects in that way, he can really create an entrepreneur, someone who can really, you know, meet their goals, and they're trendsetters and, you know, very inspiring or whatever. But also when Mars is making certain aspects, certain dynamics can also manifest. So for example, I've got Mars conjunct Venus. So if you've got Mars conjunct Venus in your chart, this pertains to you. So this is about what Mars is about assertiveness, and Venus in sensual desires. She's all about connecting in a very sensual way. So people with this aspect in their chart may have a very powerful sexual magnetism about them, a strong drive for pleasure and intimacy. So this is really nice for relationships. I think it's really important though to be careful of impulsiveness, and also to be careful of being over emotional. It can definitely create an emotional connection, like a very strong emotional connection with someone, but just be mindful of impulsiveness and maybe jealousy, and just things not being quite balanced between the two of you. In terms of like love in relationships. Then I've got Mars square or opposing Pluto. So Mars again is to do with drive and assertiveness, whereas Pluto's to do with power and control. And so this could be quite tough and intense, because we're dealing now with sexual desires that can be fraught and intense, and can be obsessive, and can create like secretive behaviors in sexual matters. I wish I had like examples of celebrities that have this, but this reminds me of that athlete with the guy with no legs, the Paralympic. I forgot his name, and he murdered. Was he Australian? He murdered
South African.
Oh, he murdered his girlfriend.
Because that signature can indicate rape or sexual abuse.
Yeah.
The Pluto and Mars square.
Yeah, exactly. Rape, sexual abuse, and like intense jealousy that could lead to murder. In this case, we don't know the story in and out. I think we spoke about this one time in a podcast, but every time I see this particular aspect, I think of him. Okay. He's my example. And then we have, you know, if Mars is in a hard aspect to the moon or Neptune, that can be quite tough as well. It can be quite tough emotionally. So if for example, we got Mars opposing or squaring the moon, or opposing or squaring Neptune. Moon is obviously our emotional and private world, and Neptune is our fantasies and transcendence nature. So these aspects can be quite challenging. When Mars, it might find it difficult to assert his emotional needs, and so that might come out like explosive. So for example, if
the person with this aspect is upset, rather than being able to talk about it calmly and, you know, and try and bring some solutions into the situation, they might be eruptive and massive displays.
Outbursts,
Exactly. Or with Neptune, then things might not appear as they really are. Like fantasies, it might be created, unrealistic expectations and things like that. Anyways, those are just some examples of how Mars can manifest in a complex way. I've got a couple of celebrities with Mars placements that I wanted to kind of like just share. For example, Beyonce, she's got Mars in Leo. So that's good. Obviously, that Leo is like the platform for showcasing your talents and your skills, isn't it? And obviously she's got the drive to showcase all of that beautiful talent. So she's an iconic, and the iconic being the operative word for Leo, I think. Singer, songwriter, and actress. But the Mars being in a Leo sign is, you know, a real boost in creativity, a real boost in her passion for her craft, I think, and self-expression. And it contributes to her bold and assertive persona, which is Sasha Fierce on stage. I don't think she mentions Sasha Fierce anymore, actually, but back then there was a period where it was all about like Sasha Fierce, and
a lot of the celebrities did that. They had alter egos.
Alter egos. What was Nicki Minaj's one?
Roman.
Is it?
Yeah. I think she had a few. But I remember Roman. Yeah, Roman's Revenge. She used to have that.
Yeah. Roman's Revenge. That's really interesting.
I don't know did Lady Gaga have one? Ooh, I can't remember.
Probably.
But yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Alter
Sasha
egos.
Fierce. I remember that one. And there's other celebrities that have music artists, but I just can't remember. But yeah, Nicki Minaj and Beyonce.
Yeah,
I do remember.
okay. I feel like Roman sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Roman was scary.
Sounds scary. You said Roman Revenge?
Yeah, I think did she have an album called Roman or a song? I can't remember.
I think she had a song called Roman.
Yeah,
I think she did. And then Taylor Swift as well. Again, a renowned singer. Oh, she's a really good songwriter. I think people really appreciate her skills in that respect. She's a performer. I don't think she's the best dancer in the world, but she's a really good singer. And her Mars is in Scorpio. So Mars, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, rules Scorpio. And so it gives her that really intense energy in her performances, and anything she does creatively and artistically, she's got that determination and drive and intensity behind all of that. And also, you know, that will give her like a magnetic flair. People want to see her. People are attracted to her presence. And also she's fearless. You know, that Mars in Scorpio is going to give her a real fearless approach to life. So that's really cool. Another one I thought that was interesting. Do you know Emma Stone?
No, Emma, actress.
Yeah. So she recently done Poor Things. I think it's either a movie or series. I can't remember. I never watched it. But, I think it's a movie. But Drew did. And Drew, one of the first things he said was, babe, it was like watching a porn. He was like watching porn. I was like, huh? He's like, she was naked half the time.
Okay.
She was literally naked half the time. And I think there was a lot of like displays, sexual displays or whatever. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I remembered that. And then maybe want to check her Mars. And so her Mars is in Aries. Okay. And guess which house?
First?
The 8th.
Oh, 8th.
Could have been that first. Could have been the first.
Yeah.
Easily could have been the first. But it's the 8th house. And for me, that just depicted the Poor Things movie. Always naked, being fearless to actually do it. You have to have a fearlessness about you to do something like that. And that's very kind of Aries, 8th housey type of thing. Actress. So she's an actress that has a strong, assertive energy, but also very competitive drive, because Aries can be very competitive with Mars there. And she's just generally known for her dynamic performances and her fearless approach to how she deals with her career. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. I haven't heard about that film, but yeah, I might check it out.
Well, let me know, because I'm not interested. And then, did you want to say anything before I go into? I got some countries I wanted to delve into.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
Shall I go with the countries?
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought, obviously, you know, we like to look at countries and what they look like in terms of their natal chart. And for me, I was just really curious to see the countries, the Mars for the countries that are so prominent in our social media right now and our news networks or whatever. So USA, Russia, and China.
Okay.
And so the USA, they've got Mars in Gemini, which I found very interesting. Because I know Americans, love you guys. You guys could talk for England. I feel like they're very, very good speakers, very good talkers.
Definitely.
They have loads to say. They can say every single way to say the same thing. It's just like their minds. They've got so much information to share. And it's in the 7th house. So they're very skilled in terms of their communication. And they're very good at negotiation as well. Because the Mars is in the relationship axis. So Mars in Gemini will make it very good for them to be able to negotiate and be diplomatic in the approach to get what they want. But also very versatile, very adaptable, and very intellectually engaging. We like to listen to Americans. We do.
Yeah.
And so the country is very good at forming partnerships. They got allies everywhere. All throughout the world, there's allies. So they must have worked using their minds and rather than resources, they use the gift of the gab.
For sure.
And their motivation and drive that the Mars has given them to do that, to get what they want. You know, they've got loads of trade agreements. But on the downside, because there's always a downside, the country has a tendency to be inconsistent and indecisive in its diplomatic efforts. And so sometimes other countries might be like, hang on a minute, didn't you just say something else? And that impacts on their relationship. But America always finds a way to come back in some way, shape or form. So Mars in Gemini can sometimes indicate a lack of focus or the ability to follow through. So maybe because Mars gets a little bit bored eventually.
I've got another cough in.
Oh, that's good.
What's going on there?
No worries.
Yeah, definitely. When you said that, it did actually bring up to me they're quick to talk,
So quick.
Activate war, or very Martian in their kind of like speech as well. When it comes to other countries, especially if they may be talking about Russia or even China. I guess there's this kind of they want to be the world leader. That's their place as being top of everything. So they're very quick at making it appear like that with their rhetoric. Whether it's like that for real is something else. But
you said something about like they're very quick to talk, and that just reminded me of how much they swear. And I feel like Mars, because Mars is aggressive, and Mars is in Gemini, the sign of communication. They swear a lot. Like every other word, I feel like is a swear word. Not that we don't swear, obviously, but like I feel like for them it's another level. It's just part of their dialect. But yeah, so that very interesting. Overall, Mars in Gemini in the 7th house suggests that the nation is quite agile and resourceful in its interactions with like the global community, and has a great talent for diplomacy and negotiation. And I think that shows over time, when they've managed to just conquer areas of the world in the way that they have. Although it'll be interesting to see the outcome of their Pluto return, the complete destruction of the US nation, and how they're able to rebuild after that, considering their talents. Anyways, that's for another time. Then I've got Russia. So they've got Mars in Leo in the 9th house.
Okay.
So, which I thought that was really interesting. So their assertiveness is more centered around belief systems and philosophies and politics, and their values around those. But yeah, I think for them it's like about promoting their culture and their ideas internationally, and having a lot of passion and energy around that. And I know that Putin he was interviewed by, Oh, the ex-CNN reporter. I can't remember his name. I got to find it. And I know that he broke down the history of Russia. He broke down the history of Russia from like the 800s.
Yeah.
And did you hear about that?
No.
Ex-CNN reporter. What is his name? I don't think I'm going to get it. Hold on.
So he broke it down from the 1800s and what happened?
Putin. And people were just like so impressed to the point where Candace Owens was like, our president can't even do that. You know? But for me, I was able to connect his knowledge with the intellect, the high levels of knowing about his own country, and that's very ninth house.
Yeah.
I feel like he really represented that. Interviewed.
He just won his election, right? As well.
Has he?
I think he was re-elected.
Okay. No, he was, Tucker Carlson. He was interviewed by Tucker Carlson, who's become independent since being, I think he got fired by CNN.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, and he just got fired by X as well.
He got fired by X?
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah. Because he did it. He did
it again, it's fine. He got fired by X?
Yeah, so he did an interview, if it's the same guy, he did an interview with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk wasn't happy.
Oh, that's not him.
That's not him.
Don't hurt my feelings.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I know who you're talking about. So this is Tucker Carlton. This is him here.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about Booming, I think. What's his name?
Okay. The black guy.
Yeah. Elon and B. Is it Boo?
I don't even know if he even worked for CNN. I just know he
got fired by him. Yeah, because he was asking for too much. Well, first of all, he treated him like crap during the interview. I didn't watch the interview though. This is based on what I've seen so far on snippets and people's opinions. And also, he was making all of these crazy demands, like I want 1 million this, and I want the next truck, and all of this stuff. And I think he shocked a lot of people with his attitude in general.
I think he got a good payout, so now he's just being himself.
Oh,
who is he with? I don't know. They had to pay him some millions, so he's all right, isn't it? So he's probably just like, oh, well, let me just be my true self.
Yeah,
I got the money now.
Yeah, his name's Don Lemon. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Very interesting. But yeah, so going back to Russia, so this placement, the Mars in Leo in the 9th, suggests like a country that's adventurous and eager to share its vision with the world and engaging in lively debates and intellectual pursuits. I personally haven't seen Russia do that, but I don't follow Russia like that.
No,
and I don't know.
I don't get the sense that that's for real. That I feel there's a more control over what's been said and how you say it, and you could, if you say the wrong things, maybe you can get arrested. That's how I feel, but I'm not sure. I don't. So.
I think you're right, and I think we'd have to delve more into that Mars. And I think, if anything, maybe there's more going on within the Eastern world that we don't know about, because obviously news gets filtered. By the time we receive the news, half of it, if not all of it, is fake or false, or we just don't get certain news at all. So it's hard to, I'm not really hip with the Russian way of living and how they kind of like share their 9th house stuff. But yeah. And then China. China. A nation with Mars and Pluto in Leo in the 7th house. That basically suggests an assertive and influential energy towards their international relationships. Definitely with that Mars and Pluto, we know that's powerful, very intense, very controlling. And we see that. Certainly I see it. They display strength through and charisma in partnerships and conflicts, because the charisma comes from the Leo sign. So Mars and Pluto have to kind of succumb to the Leo nature, and Leo is charismatic and playful and things like that. So, but yeah, it does suggest lots of dramatic and intense interactions with other countries, and I can kind of see that, in a sense. But like we would, as Westerners, we would probably interpret their approach as dramatic and a bit out there, like, whoa. Even their food is very different. So for me, I will be like, oh my god, what's this? I obviously I know about chicken fried rice and Singapore fried rice.
That's not their food.
Is that not their food?
It's not. That's just a Western type
It's been
food.
Westernized.
Yeah, I went to Hong Kong and I didn't see any of that fried
Were you
rice.
looking for it?
Yeah, I did, and I expected to see it, and I couldn't believe it. And I found out that's just a Western thing.
It's crazy.
I didn't like their food.
It's crazy.
Their traditional food, shark fin soup, and
You see? You see?
I ended up, they had Pizza Hut though, so I just ended up eating vegetarian pizza. They had all the the McDonald's and the KFC and stuff, but I felt it just didn't taste the same. So I just vegetarian pizza will do for me while I'm there. Yeah.
You told me you went to Hong Kong ages ago. And I
So
forgot.
China must be real different because
Right.
it's not as westernized.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're gonna find there to eat. My dad went actually. I should be
Did he
honest. My
say?
dad went. Yeah. It's not. They didn't have that kind of stuff. So don't expect it.
Don't expect chicken fried rice, Singapore fried rice, noodles. You see, so but in terms of their interactions, there's definitely like there's a boldness and determination, but they need to be at the center of the stage because of that Leo energy.
But I find them more covert. Like they're not out there shouting it from the rooftops like America.
Yeah,
It's very more. Yeah, when we're ready,
we're gonna come.
We're
through.
gonna come, and then they say what they got to say, and they've already done what they need to do,
and they mean it. It's so true.
And it's like there's nothing you can do about it. It's like we're here. That's it. They won't tell you in advance. They tell you when it's actually fixed in place.
So true.
And I think
I get you.
that's how they get their strength, and that's how they definitely shine. Is definitely by making sure that what they say is already in place. Not I'm going to do this and then it doesn't work out. They make sure that they know what they're saying. It comes to fruition. It's already there. So
For me, that's the Pluto. That's the Pluto influence with the Mars.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds about right. Okay, and then that's about it for me right now.
Okay.
That was a lot of information. That was a lot. Very interesting.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
looking at the countries.
Yeah, definitely it was. It's good to know whether how the Mars influences the country that you live in, and how it dictates how the world may see you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely every country has a chart, so it's very good to look at that and actually look how it works with your chart, because you may be in a country that doesn't work well for you, and then you move somewhere and everything just falls into place. So it's important to look at that as well.
I forgot to say, you reminded me because you said it's good to look at countries you live in, and I didn't do UK, but just really quickly, Mars is in Taurus in the 8th house, so we have a lot of focus and drive around resources, finances, money, inheritance, and things like that.
Yep, that sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Tax, cost of living.
Exactly, all of that. Exactly.
Yellow lines, red lines,
Benefits.
whatever kind of line they want to put on the floor to fine you, crossing this part of the river, crossing this part of the town is going to pay
This
you.
part of
What's
the
that thing
street.
called? What's that? Road tax? Not road tax. Congestion charge.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. They've all
That's
one thing about the
road
UK.
tax, though.
Yeah, one thing about the UK, they can find money. They can get money out of you, and everyone just falls into place.
Right.
Crazy.
Right. So yeah.
So
what you got, Ange?
So I wanted Mars, and it's like the war kind of like within us.
Oh
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, Mars, the god of war, as you so rightly said. But I wanted to look at it like how we can look within ourselves as well with it, no matter where it's placed in your chart. And war has been like a big thing forever. So in the Bible, there's a war. There's always like some sort of verses, like someone verse something, whatever it is. There's always like two opposites that kind of like don't get along or trying to take this center stage, and one's going first and it's backwards and forwards kind of thing. And it makes a point of the war. So within us and outside, there's a war. So like day and night, there's a war. So you may not look at it like that, but we have 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. So the sun has its time, and the moon darkness has its time too. So within that, it's looked at from the ancients. It was looked at as the daylight, and it looked at as verses. So like the sun, Horus, and the darkness, the Prince of Darkness, was set. So they described it as a time of like war between the sun and the nighttime. And I think of like, well, within us, how do we struggle with people that are like opposite with us? You know, how do we navigate people that are different? And it's like, just because someone's slightly different from us, it's like, well, you think that way and I'm here. I'm a Christian and you believe in astrology. So you're there, maybe they might think you're a pagan or something, and they're right and you're wrong. And there's a way of looking at just coming together and actually accepting the word acceptance, accepting people, all countries and how people live just for the way they are. And I think when we look at, we're always pushed to look at either or, and never just
together.
Just like, okay, you believe this, you believe that, that's fine, you know, as long as no one's hurting each other. But we've always come through a time, whether it's been through religion, if you didn't follow Christianity or Catholicism, you were like, you could have been hanged, you could have been put in prison. So it started off from a very long time. It's not like just us here in 2024. This has been going on for such a long time. And I think that ego, the Mars, it's definitely, there's a big ego. And how that, you know, having a strong Mars, just say you have a strong Mars in Aries, may dictate how you may perceive things. So you might be like, okay, you want to go straight here. Your ego might say, okay, this is where you're going, and forget about everyone else here. And then there could be someone else who doesn't have a strong Mars, but their ego is saying, oh, well, let someone else take over. Let them do it. And the ego's still there, but it's just working in a different way. And I wanted to talk about the principle of polarity. So everything has its opposites. And I guess that's where war comes from. So if I'm looking at Mars and I'm thinking about war, it's about opposites and about like and dislikes, and how do we work with that, and how do we understand the different things that are around, understand different people and the things that are around us. And I think that was just like my main kind of point around war and Mars, and just to think about the war that's within us and how, you know, we work on vibrations and frequencies, and just recognize that before we go to war, there's something else we can do. You know, we can accept and understand and learn to understand the differences that are within everyone that's around us. So also I wanted to look at the goddess, because we talk about Mars, him, but there is a goddess of war, and you can call her Sekhmet, and Greek is Athena, and obviously the Roman god is Mars or Aries. And we're looking at our ego and our conscious mind, and it's, you know, it's a part of our identity and what you consider yourself. And if you say someone has a big ego, then you're saying maybe like they're too full of themselves or something like that. And I think just accepting that someone who people express themselves according to their planet. So it's not necessarily someone has a big ego. They just got strong. Their Mars is like really strong, and someone else's Mars is really not as strong. So you might think this person's got a really big ego and this person hasn't, but it's just that they're just in different places. It doesn't mean that this person has a big ego. They're just showing what they've got. Yeah. So yeah, that was it really. Just about thinking about how can we not war all the time. And war isn't, I'm not talking about just war in like countries. I'm just talking about us generally. How we feel towards someone, the energy we give off.
Whether that's on the bus,
yeah,
work,
exactly.
or
Oh, this person's not me, or what's going on? You know, and then the whole thing with Kate, you know, she's gone missing for a while.
Well, Kate Middleton,
yeah, and like they were like, oh, where is she? She's had this operation, she hasn't come out, and the media's made out like everyone's looking for her and put a lot of stress on their relationship because apparently William's having an affair and putting this woman up, and this is not her, and they've doctored the image, and all the time all she's doing is trying to recuperate because she's had a major operation and she's got to come out and say, oh my gosh, I got cancer. You know?
And her Mars is debilitated.
So it would have been like something that she would have wanted to keep to herself for a lot longer. And now she's had to come out and say, you know, not even had time to process that emotion. She's got to come on TV, tell the world. And people that have gone through, you know, having cancer or just hearing about it, must be quite a sad time and, you know, very hard to process, let alone coming on TV to just explain to the world that I've got cancer.
I just want to say something without taking away the sensitivity of it. There's a lot going on X where people are saying that was AI. That wasn't like not that she didn't say it, but it's hard to tell what is true because the background of the scenery looked fake. There was nothing moving. Like it did. They're even breaking that apart.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Did you see the post where she she was in a photo with her family and the hands were all funny?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you could tell. I mean, once it was blown up, you can see, okay, that was a real bad job.
Yeah, really
and
bad.
I think people need to realise now we're not in the 80s no more. Like, you got to do things properly because all you have to do is go on your phone and stretch it out and zoom in. Like whoever's doing this Photoshop, just, I don't know, they need to get someone who's absolutely good at that stuff because there's people that are, you know, a daily photographer that does it.
Listen, we've got
every now and again. Exactly, it doesn't work. Yeah. You need to have a proper whiz kid photoshopping and actually zooming in and saying, does that look good, does this look good, does this so just wanted to, you know, talk about the war. That was within.
Deep. Thank you so much. I think you've inspired me. That's why I'm thanking you because it's so true. I suppose at what point though, and maybe this is another topic, so we're expressing our Mars and our Mars is very strong, and so we've got a very domineering personality, but at what point do we learn to be, and I suppose life will help us humble ourselves somewhat because the other the next man might be like, oh, this person's full of themselves, man. They just, you know, take over the whole room every single time and blah 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 and don't allow space for others. But it's like maybe there needs to be a balance somewhere where it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't. Be yourself. Be autonomized, but also be mindful.
Yeah, I mean, like, if someone's got a strong Mars and they come in the room, because you find that a lot, there'll be someone and they just talk or they just go on. And it's not, some people may just like the sound of their own voice and maybe don't care.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it's, being mindful of maybe they don't have opportunities to talk where people listen. That could be it, you know. They get in the room and someone's listening and like, oh my gosh, people are actually listening to me, let me say what I've got to say, and everyone's thinking, okay, shut up now. But
and then they're working that Mars doing that.
Maybe and there's and maybe, you know, you're experiencing this because there's something you need to learn from that. You know, and obviously the other person to learn as well, like learn when to say what you got to say but actually stop yourself and think about, okay, give someone else a chance. Whereas, you know, it could come across as selfish, you know, we're in those kind of situations. So, Mars.
Interesting.
Mars.
My Mars is in Pisces right now, so we might not be feeling that great sense of assertiveness and drive. But use this time the next until I think I said the 8th of May. I can't remember now.
I think it's the 2nd of May.
Yeah, to really kind of retreat that energy for a bit. Give yourself a bit of a break and tap into your own inner world if you can, or your own inner empathy and sympathy and compassion for people and yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, I mean, this is a long one, so we're going to end it here unless you wanted to say anything else.
That's enough.
So be sure to follow us, to subscribe, to, just
follow the AstroLove_pod on Instagram.
Yeah, and we will become visual, guys, very soon. We're working on it. So until next time, I'm Astro Queen.
And I'm AngelLove.
And see you soon. Peace.